doing what God wants. And the world says that power is success. And it's, what is it called? A paradox. Powerlessness is success in the word. Putting down others elevates you versus building others up elevates you. Humbling yourself is a sign of weakness. Serving others is a sign of strength. And also humbling yourself is a sign of strength. You will be exalted. Telling others of your great deeds will gain respect. Glorifying God and telling of His great acts will bring you respect. Exalt yourself and you will be great. Humble yourself and God will exalt you. I think that the one that stands out to me the most in this list is putting down others elevates you. Man, I thought that a lot in high school. It made me feel so good to put others down because it made me feel better about myself. Major sign of immaturity. I just remember doing that a lot in high school because I was insecure, so that helped me.
I think that's more common for girls than guys. I think.
You think so?
It still happens with guys, but I don't think it's as prevalent.
Yeah.
Or consistent.
Do you think so, Evan? Would you?
I think for guys, like in sports and stuff, especially like, I'm more manly than you are. From my perspective, I think it's a lot worse for guys.
But guys do that from being in a lot of sports. That's more competitiveness. Girls are vindictive.
That's true.
Girls are malicious.
Well, I know that because I'm a girl, so I know I've done this before.
Yeah.
I didn't know if the case was guys was.
Not that guys don't do it, but guys aren't like, oh, well, I'm better than you. You know what I mean? Or, oh, well, I've had this girl, I've had that, blah, blah, blah. Girls are mean.
Yeah. Well, because actually the first thing did you want to comment on that before?
I'm just going to say guys are dumb.
Oh.
He's fast, he's strong, he's the leader. That's basically it, but we don't really put each other down or anything like that. We don't go behind each other's backs normally.
Normally you just go to each other's faces.
Normally we just hit each other in the face and then we're good.
Yeah. It's just girls are just.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Also brought up to feel that other girls are competition.
Yeah,
competition.
that's
She's
true.
Prettier, she's smarter. She comes from a better family. She comes from the worst family.
Yeah, man.
Blonde hair, brown eyes, whatever.
Yeah, we're pretty harsh on ourselves. And what I thought of when I first thought of high school, I definitely remember doing that. But just like moms doing that to each other.
Yeah, I never understood that.
I think I don't know, somehow maybe it makes you feel like a better mom if you're saying, at least I don't mom like that, just look what she's doing. But I've seen a lot of things where it's a lot of, this sounds dumb, but a lot of memes on Facebook that are encouraging moms to support one another instead of tearing each other down. Ultimately, that's what all moms need is support, and we need to support each other. We need to be there for each other. But we're all kind of more biting at each other. I can't believe you do that with your kid or whatever. And yeah, sometimes I'll see something and I'm like, well, I'm definitely not doing that with my kid. But,
it's more obviously incorrect parenting.
Yeah, it's more obviously incorrect parenting, and it's more that's just not how I would choose to be. I try to distinguish it. It's not like she's a bad person or, she's just trying to do the best that she can. And that's just not what I would do personally, and so I kind of try to distinguish there. There's one difference between us, and that's okay. So, yeah.
I saw this family at the market, and I've been just touched by this family because I'm sure they, for whatever reason, I'm supposed to be praying for them, but outwardly, you would look at them and just be like, oh, and I won't go into details, but then you look at the little kids and the filthy, they're so happy and lifting up their mommy and daddy this and mommy and daddy that, and she's just talking to herself, talking to her siblings, and I'm just sitting there, getting them in the computer and everything and listening to her and looking at her and just happy, joyful you know, and I'm just like, God, I don't know what's going on in this situation, but you do, and just strengthen them wherever they need to be strengthened, but, you know,
Yeah.
and whereas if I wasn't in that situation and I saw them out on the street, you know, I probably would view others as lower, you know, terrible to admit
Yes.
as a
No, I
Christian,
understand.
you know, but it's like, you
Yeah.
know, but then you got to think on the flip side, well, why are they filthy? And
Yeah.
what kind of circumstances are they in? And,
Yeah.
but this little girl was just so happy. I mean,
Yeah. I had a moment like that. I'm being really honest with you guys. I was in Dollar General buying something before we went to Michael's parents' house, and it was in Meeker, and for my online students, that's a really small town that's right next to Shawnee. And I was in there, and I was in a hurry, and I'm like trying to check out, and this lady gets in front of me with a whole like that's where she's getting her groceries. She has a whole basket full of stuff, and I have one thing I need to buy. I'm just like, dang it, they're moving so slowly. I'm just like waiting. I'm like, and I'm pretty impatient, especially when I'm in a store. I like to get in and get out. I'm really fast. I move that shopping cart fast, and I'm like efficient. And so I'm standing there in line. I'm like, really, like you can't just let me cut in front of you. But anyways, and then like what you said, a family walks in and their kids are like filthy, and I don't think all of them had shoes on or something, and just like I went outside, and the first thing I said to Michael, I was like, my gosh, like everyone in there, everyone that I saw in there, like that was surrounding me in that store was kind of just like your typical white trash. And then immediately I felt like so convicted, because I've said that to my husband. I don't just talk like that to everybody, but still, that's terrible that I said that. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Whenever I was a kid, that's how my mom kind of let us run around. Yeah. And we didn't have a lot of money. We probably were considered white trash, whatever. If someone saw us, they probably would have called us that. Probably did. And I was like, you know what? That was me. But I, like what you said, loved my childhood and didn't feel lesser overall. And I didn't feel like, I had fun. And I would almost say that I appreciated my mom not having really like a tight grip on all those things, because I had a lot of fun as a kid. And so I had a great childhood, a very fulfilling one, and I don't know. So I was just like, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. And, God forgive me for saying that. And then just also kind of made me even like love those people more. I was like, that was me right there. And that was my mom. And she didn't have it all pulled together, but, So, anyways, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was just a judgmental, prideful
Meeker's also
spirit.
really high with meth. Like a lot of these small towns that are around Oklahoma City,
Yeah,
Shawnee,
that's so
a lot
true.
of drugs, and
Yeah.
it's not the kids' fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're dirty.
Yeah, and I wasn't blaming the kids even whenever I saw the
but
family.
it's
But
just-
yeah, actually, I think that Meeker was like the meth capital of the
Yeah.
state or something. Yeah. Okay.
It's true, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know what that was until I knew it was a drug, but I didn't know the effects of it until I moved here and saw people. But yeah, it's something. There's a challenge right there in the
Well, I was about to
town
say,
next
there's
here.
places really close that could use some guns.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
10 minutes away.
Yes.
5 minutes away.
That's one of the reasons I'm a big promoter of you don't have to go into another nation to reach the nations. I'm like,
You have
just
America
go.
looking like the way it is right now.
Do what?
I mean, there's plenty of places in America that really need someone who's really loves Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, many places in America. Yeah, it's a major mission field in itself. In many ways more than, I think that there's statistics about how China has more Christians in it than the United States. How a lot of missionaries on other continents are coming to the United States now, because it's like we need it, and so that's so true. I'm a huge proponent of you don't have to go that far to reach the nations. Yeah.
This town is especially, I'm blessed to be able to see it, from a different perspective.
Yeah, right.
And, I'm sure several of us, but we've got the best of the best and we've got the worst of the worst. and we're not a very big town. We're not,
Mhm.
you know, Shawnee's in comparison, you know, and it's just, you know, just being an observer and looking, it blows me away, you know, the polar opposite of, you know, what's going on in this town.
Mhm.
And that's why I have so much respect for Community Renewal, because we care, period.
Mhm.
And they do these block parties to pull, because how is this side supposed to learn about this side unless they're brought together? How is this side supposed to learn how to help this side unless we're pulled together? You know, which I think is one of the reasons why we're all here and we're all, you know, learning what we're learning,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
is to help God with that. You know,
Mhm.
be His vessels.
Yeah. And that's what the church should be. Like,
Yeah,
a-
I was gonna say, I don't think on a secular level that works, because there's a reason that people have divided themselves. If you have Christ, that's different. But just for peace, love, and harmony, that works if you're hippie, but not in real life.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, but wealthy people do not want to be having lunch with the ghetto. Now, I mean, it's great for PR and stuff, but that's about as far as it would go.
It's pride and arrogance.
No, that's.
but I mean, there's pride and arrogance on both sides of that, I would say.
It is,
I mean, there's-
It is what it is. I mean, that's, I mean, I'm sorry, but the word kids don't want to associate with poor kids. Is it right? No. But is that reality? Yes. But that's where Christ has to be the foundation. Christ has to be the bridge.
Which is why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing, to be that.
Yeah. So,
To be that
but
Jesus.
she's saying like it's almost like we have to reach them with Christ before they can have the attitude to even want the
Oh,
unity.
absolutely.
I think that's
Yeah,
what she's saying.
100%. Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that.
yeah, because I mean, yeah, like I think the heart for unity comes with the heart of Christ. Otherwise, it is the opposite, which is a heart of division. So,
That's true.
okay. The accomplishment of God's will is dependent upon submission, cooperation, and obedience. And we're going to go more into submission and cooperation and obedience. I mean, they all kind of are tied together in a sense. So his will is dependent upon these things. So 4 basic structures of God's delegated authority. This is something that's been taught in this class since the beginning. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, one thing I thought was missing was maybe like the spouse. I mean, because I feel like, once you leave your parents, your spouse is kind of who that authority, there's a mutual authority shared there. But I looked up every single one of these verses, and all of them are totally legit. They say exactly what this is. They are basic structures of God's delegated authority in our lives. And especially when we live under our parents' roof, they are a delegated authority of God. And like Gunnar said last time, unless they're just, if any of these entities are asking you to do something blatantly against the word of God, then that's whenever you don't do that thing. Just like, who are the 2 apostles that were told not to talk about Jesus? And they did anyway. Like, they were told by the authorities, like, do not teach Jesus. Peter and John. I knew it was Peter. I can't remember who was with him. They blatantly disobeyed, but that's because they were being asked to do something that was outside what they were commanded to do. But, yeah, parents, the church, the government, and employers are all authorities that God has established and God has established or delegated authority to that are over us that we should be submitted to. Then also husbands and wives should be submitted to each other, which is in Ephesians 6. Maybe I didn't add that on here. Maybe I should for the future. But yeah, so these are entities that have a certain amount of say in our life, certain amount of authority to speak into our lives and to tell us what to do, ultimately. The purpose of authority is to protect us and cover us, to help us develop character, and to give us guidance and wisdom. Are all authorities doing this all the time? No. they're not all giving us guidance and wisdom all the time. But they do help us develop character, whether a bad authority or good authority.